Okay, so hi everyone, welcome to the Conscious Cities Festival 2021. Thank you for joining us from all around the world, and we are extremely excited to share this special event with you. This event is special since it is the first one being held by Conscious Gurugram and hopefully a first of many to come. I want to say huge congratulations to the CCD for organizing this festival and to everyone involved for being able to get together 36 city chapters from all across the globe that are collaborating to create this cross-continental dialogue on designing conscious cities. It has been a pleasure working with all of you. More than anything, it has been a joy to see a group of like-minded individuals supporting each other in making this happen in order to have positive impact on the future city. As a new city chapter, Conscious Gurugram is still young and growing, and we want to extend our gratitude to everyone who has supported this journey so far. Now, I want to right away start with the story of Gurgaon, and we have an amazing lineup of speakers to tell us that story. We are so honored to have Sarika Panda Bhatt and Nidhi Batra with us today. Hope and so honored to have you all here, and thank you so much for agreeing to do this. Starting with our first speaker is Sarika Panda Bhatt. If I have to introduce her, Sarika is co-founder of Rahagiri Foundation and is director at Nagaro. She is leading Gurgaon in reclaiming the streets for people under the Rahagiri movement in Haryana and is also helping other cities in India to adopt this concept. With 15 years of experience in the field of urban development, transport, and environment, she is also heading the India Vision Zero initiative in the states of Haryana and Punjab. Sarika was selected as one of the 60 global women leaders in the world who are making a change in how we move in our cities. The recognition came from TUMI, Germany. She was also selected as the bicycle mayor of Gurugram by BIX, Netherlands. Sarika, personally, if I may say, I have been following Ragiri since the early days. I remember I was just a fresh graduate out of urban design it was 2013, and I used to live in Gurgaon, and I think that was the initial years when Ragiri, and I was so happy to know that there's something like this happening in the city. And one of these events was organized in Connaught Place. And I remember going with a friend early in the morning at 6 o'clock, and that is a day to remember. It was so full of energy. It was like, for an urban designer, it was like a wish come true, because that is exactly what we aim for, in our city life, that kind of celebration and that kind of energy. So I won't take more time. Please take the floor and tell us why you do this, how you do this, and what is the impact that you've been able to create.
Manisha, I think, thank you so much for the kind words, and I'm glad that you know how you look the whole Ragari movement. You need to make me host to share my screen.
Yes, I will just do that. Can you try now?
Yeah, sure. Is it visible?
Yes, we can see your screen.
Cool. So, let me just give me a moment. I'm just adjusting this. Okay. So the whole, as you also said that, this whole Rahagiri Day, it started to just, rethinking about our whole street design and how we can engage communities and, civic society group to talk about sustainable transportation in the cities. So, as you said, it started in November 2013 in Gurgaon. It's going to be 8 years now. We are going to celebrate our 8 years of Rahagiri Day. And the whole vision, it's not just that Sunday event, just for the few hours where we are making our streets for people. but it is a long-term vision about how through Rahagiri Day we can catalyze this whole movement of community engagement to adopt healthy lifestyle, how to create this inclusive streets, and how to bring that fundamental shift of day-to-day commute, because we all, we all have seen that how we are from last 3 decades, how we are focusing on moving towards more and more vehicle centric cities. So this is what that makes shift, the paradigm shift that we are looking for, from cities for vehicles to cities for people. This was the whole vision around organizing the Rahagiri Day. And what we do, whosoever have attended, they can see these pictures are very familiar to them. Basically, this is basically to how enabling streets to what they should be. As in, you said that as an urban designer and architect, we always vision about, where we always emphasize and imagine about what a street should look like, where you are loitering freely, where you are walking freely with your elders, from the home to the children. If you are having a toddler, and how you can take out your pram or take out your cycle with your kids and cycle freely. This is what Rahagiri Day gives you a glimpse of that street. What it should be actually look like, the vision of having that 24/7 Rahagiri Day street. So you have seen that people just used to come and play, painting the street, cycling around, walking around, and it has been become a platform to showcase other social causes also. If, for example, it is about gender equality, or it is about Swachh Bharat, or whatever, many organization has took out this platform to demonstrate other social cause also, not just the whole aim of addressing air pollution, road safety through better street, but others also. Because if you imagine a street, when we are talking about gender safety, the first thing where a woman, after the house, we know that what kind of safety issues we have inside our house also, but after the house, the most important thing, and where a woman feel unsafe, is while commuting. And that comes when we are looking for a street design. Traveling from A to B is the most important thing for women's safety perspective also. For example, when we are talking about inclusive development, when we are looking street as a inclusive space, inclusive public space, and I always emphasize, we have this 50% of our street space in our city, where we can call it as an inclusive public space. Street, it belongs to everyone, not rich, not poor, elderly, women, everyone. Because if you see, there is a community park, it belongs to certain section of people, either elders or their kids, or either only for the rich, where poor cannot go. But street as a public space is for everyone. So this is what we described as a Rahagiri Day street. So as I said, Rahagiri Day started in Gurugram in 2013, but when Rahagiri Day started in CP in 2014, then it became a national race. Actually, what happens in India, Delhi happens in India, either it is good or bad. So people follow the Delhi structure. So it is very important where we think about Delhi's planning or Delhi's thing. So then we thought of, why not shifting from Gurgaon to Delhi. When this group of us came together, 7 of us came together and formed Rahagiri Day, we never thought that we are going to go beyond Gurgaon, because that one Rahagiri, starting one Rahagiri Day was also a big challenge. But thanks to the people of the city, thanks to the citizens, thanks to the, other civic society group who basically adopted it and owned it. We don't say that it is our Rahagiri, never ever, because it is successful because of the people, because of the other civic society group who came together. So that's why it's a very coordinated approach, very what I say, the citizens kind of citizens movement. That's why from one city to, we can see that Rahagiri happened in almost 80 cities across India in 18 states so far. And we can keep on counting the number of Rahagiris and people participated, more than already 10 million people have been part of Rahagiri Day in this last 8 years. So I think from one to there is still a long way to go. So we had our 5 strategy actually to why we are doing Rahagiri Day. First is, the behavioral mindset change by active engagement. When used to talk with people, why can't we walk? Why can't we cycle? Then there was abstract reasons for them. If you are going to a 200-meter, 300-meter to a nearby marketplace also, we have this tendency to take out our vehicle and go. But that mindset change happened through Rahagiri. We have seen people adopted this, walking to a short distance trip, cycling to a short distance trip, and then multiple other Rahagiri kind of events, like either it is cycle to walk challenge, walk to walk challenge, cycle to work challenge, or school, cycle to school. So many movements that we try to add on into the whole, not list, like not limited to the Sunday Rahagiri, but try to catalyze more and more such campaign through Rahagiri Day movement. So this is the most important strategy that we thought of. We need to change this behavioral of this whole vehicle centric commute, and somehow we have able to achieve some kind of success in that also. We can see when we started Rahagiri Day, there were around few hundred cyclists. Now we can see thousands of them. You come on any Monday, any morning, you can see most of the streets in Gurugram, people are cycling. Like, I'm not saying the regular users, they cycle every day by their choice. They don't have any other choice to, as they walk and cycle every day, which is our 50 to 60% of our population in our country, or any of our city, you imagine. But that mindset change of, I'm talking about the middle class, elite class, who have a vehicle to go around. But we can see that a lot of people have adopted this healthy lifestyle and adopted walking and cycling through it. After, I can not claiming that it is because of Rahagiri, but we can see a change in the whole cities now. Then second is public outreach. As you see this, whenever right now, it is more easy to reach out to people through online conversation and all that post-COVID. But before that, what you used to have is, some workshops, some conference happening in some hotel or some places where experts talking to experts. You can see the participants are also who know the subject, and the speaker are also who are talking about the subject. So how to reach to the larger audience? So actually post COVID, we really did a lot of the social media campaign, the street accessible for all, where we are talking about, it is not about just able male person when we are thinking about a street to design, it is about multiple other factors. So then we started this whole neighborhood, how to make neighborhood street accessible for all campaign. Then second campaign we did, cycling in your, so we shifted from a main street to neighborhood street, and how to make this neighborhood street more safe, rather than we are talking about arterial road and subarterial road. Then when we are talk about, as I said, mentioned that women's safety issues, then streets for all, it is about where women can also walk, cycle, loiter safely in the night also. It is not just a man can go in the night kind. But so these are a few campaigns that you can see. We collaborate with a lot of schools, other civic society groups, government departments, and started organizing such online campaign for public outreach. Then, sorry, some problem. Pardon me. Then capacity building of the city stakeholder. I say it's one of, I think, the most important strategy, I must say, because we might be here for more 2 years, 3 years, 5 years, we don't know. And it is not right to be, always there and, working to with the same thing. But how we can develop the capacity of the, city stakeholders who are basically the change makers, who are basically the decision makers. Building their capacity, we thought, is very important. So not just classroom workshops, training workshops that we keep on doing every year in multiple cities. We conducted 2 training workshops for the engineers last 2 days, but demonstrating that on street. So in few Rahagiris, you can see the above picture where we took them to the street, and like they were saying, when we asked, how many % of people you see that they own car in Gurugram or in Haryana, everybody's answer was 80%, 90%. And we would, like, when we told them the actual percentage, they got surprised. And I'm just sharing, only 11% people in Gurugram own vehicle. It is the registered vehicle, I'm telling. And in Haryana, it is just 2%. In India, it is just 2%, right? So that is, and they got surprised. We said, then why there is so many cars in the street? Then I said, see, in one car, either there is 2 people or 1 people, and see this amount of space they take in the street. And then in the same amount of space, you can accommodate 5 cycles or 10 pedestrians, or in 5 car space, you can accommodate a bus where 70 people traveling together. That is the kind of demonstrated we did through Rahagiri Day, not just, teaching through classroom teaching, but basically demonstrating it through Rahagiri. Then adding government agencies to all your thought process kind of thing. So we did a lot of state level and city level workshops in various cities, where basically the focus was on how to address this road traffic fatalities, where, launched this Haryana Vision Zero program and Punjab Vision Zero program with the Haryana government and Punjab government to reduce the road traffic fatalities to 0. Why 0? Because we should not lose even 1 person in this incident, and it is not an accident, it is avoidable, it can be mitigated. So this is how we actually collaborated with state level organization. State level is from the chief minister who's leading this program, and the whole machinery from state government level, from the chief secretary to the DGP police to the transport department, other state level department are part of this program. So this is again the 4th strategy, which through Rahagiri Day or Rahagiri Foundation, we are working on. Last is the technical support and the planning and design, which we are doing right now. Helping the city, municipality, municipal corporation, or the development authority for developing some model street. Of course, if the city government has a vision of developing a 800 kilometer of footpath and cycle track, we alone cannot do, and like organization like us also cannot do. So how to demonstrate this by developing few of the street, and they can replicate it. So this is, you can see the workshop we do, we take them to the street where the construction is going on to demonstrate, to showcase that, what are the challenges right now, on ground challenges they face, how they should mitigate, address it, how they should work on collaboration. Because here one department don't talk to other department kind, and if you're talking about a street, there are multiple departments. There is forest to electricity to municipal corporation development authority, some telecom, 5 telecom departments and whatnot. But taking them together in one table and then planning your street is, I think, the right thing to do, because then you understand the issues in the first place only while you are designing, and then during the implementation also it's very important to have these monthly meetings with them, going to the site and finding out the issues there and solution to it. So this is again a coordinated approach bringing all the departments together to adopt something like this. So hope I have some time, right? Okay. So I want to showcase some of the impact that the foundation has done. So this is how we work. This is one of the intersection in Rohtak. So there are hospitals, there are schools. It's a, one of the major street, but it's one of the black spot also where a lot of fatalities and crashes were happening. So before shifting to the final design, what we do is this tactical urbanism, with some brushes, cones, barricades, bunch of youngster youth, schools, college students, and we come together and we reclaim this space and we demonstrate that how you can actually change that with a small interventions. So this is one of the intersections that we did, and it was pretty successful, and you can clearly see that from the left side of the picture to right of the picture, that how people actually driving on the lane, how people actually stopping before zebra crossing. And you can, what we say that through better design you can have better education and better enforcement, because from last 4 decades we are educating people on all this subject, but somehow we have not achieved it. So that's why city, we have to make this street and city safer by design. This is another intersection where we designed it for the Metropolitan Development Authority of Gurugram. This is another a neighborhood street with lot of traffic and lot of pedestrian and cyclists, because this is just next to one of the metro station. So we thought of how to bring that change in. It's like very small intervention, and you can see the change now. And you actually here also you can see how far was the very small changes, how far was the zebra crossing, how we have treated the islands, traffic islands, and how we have created this whole 5-meter wide an empty lane where walking and cycling included. And you can see everyone is stopping before zebra crossing. Who says that Gurgaon people don't follow traffic rules, right? This is what you have to demonstrate. And it's a big success. Now you can see hundreds of people cycling, walking in the street now and safely crossing. And even you can do better traffic management. When we're talking about traffic jams, this is how, when we create this football ground kind of intersection, and there is so much crash conflicts happens in this intersection. So because 50 to 60% people, that's why get killed in the intersections because of the poor intersection. So first we thought of targeting to improve the intersections in Gurgaon. This is, you can see that 5-meter wide cycle track. We had, it's not just the design part, but how we are working with these different agencies to, do this cycle rally kind of thing, where again, they can also adopt this lifestyle, because it's for them is, traveling by car. But you can see the previous CEO of GMDA started cycling from his guest house to office every day whenever he was there in Gurgaon. And he said it's so easy, so fun to cycle. But during the cycling, he also understood the problems in the street. And whenever you used to come by cycling, and then he lists down these 5 things. Oh, this is the problem in that particular point. This is the problem in that particular intersection. We're immediately highlighting this to the engineer and asking them to fix it. That's why, other cities, as Enrique Penelosa, the earlier mayor of Bogota, used to say that, cities are not where the poor use the cars. It is where the rich and the decision makers use the public transport system or walking or cycling, because then only they can see the problem, right? So this is how we used to actually, how we are working with the administration, making them realize that, this is the time to fix these issues. So now we cannot even lose 1 day of it. Gurgaon is the most polluted city in the world. In Gurgaon, 500 people get killed every year due to road traffic crashes. So it's not a small number. It is much more than COVID death actually. and which is happening every year. We are losing so many people, just not getting killed, but so many people get permanently. So it's such a important issue, such a to highlight and to work upon it. So then you have to somehow bring that mindset change of the decision maker, and this is how we are trying to do. There's a lot more to do, actually. Trying to do more cities that we are working with the municipal corporations, the neighborhood street that we are designing for a complete street. But before the implementation, we do keep doing this tactical urbanism, try to understand the challenges, on ground challenges, what the citizens are, the neighborhood RWAs are facing or whatever, and taking them together on board to looking into their issues also and their solutions also. And this is one of our major project that we are working on, which is there is a street in one of the industrial area in the Udyog Vihar, which is a 2.5 kilometer road, which is one of the major road which is connecting the old Delhi road to the highway. And initially the authority supposed to cut all 400 fully grown trees and widening this road for the vehicle, because they see this vehicle with traffic jams. Then we realize it cannot be, because already we are in such a bad situation because of pollution. We cannot basically take any more tree cutting in the city. So we went and interacted with them, with various other corporate leaders like Nagaro, Siemens, Maruti, because they are there in that particular road. And we said that we will help them in designing. And we realized after doing the traffic survey that 50% people in that street walk or cycle. Only 10% people use vehicle. So how can we give this 90% of the space to the vehicle? So we redesigned it. You can see there's glimpse, no cutting of a single tree. We preserve all the trees, and now we're developing walking track, cycle track along these shaded trees in the green belt, and no widening of road, because they didn't realize that in that two lane why there is traffic jam, because this 50% people are walking is in carriageway. So they are taking the road space for the cars. And then we realized, then they also realized that, oh, let's do it. And the work has been started in ground. And hopefully by next year, we will be able to see the first model street of Gurugram, or I can say this is one of the street kind in India, because we are developing it in a PPP model, where the development authority is developing certain stretch, and the carriageway and the drain and other support infrastructure that is developed by the development authority, but the cycle track, footpath, landscaping, sitting area, spaces for vendors, and all this is going to be designed by us through CSR funding by Nagaro and Maruti. So that is one thing. Then this is another project where actually Nidhi is also part of this project, where we are redeveloping trying to make Sadar Bazaar pedestrianized, like what happened in Karol Bagh or Chandni Chowk. So why not in Sadar Bazaar in Gurugram? So this is what you can see, the proposal, where this 800 meter of the stretch in Sadar Bazaar has been designed to fully pedestrianize. This is we are working with the municipal corporation of Gurugram, because there are schools, so developing the school zones. Nidhi's team has designed the school zone part. The Sushant school has designed certain part, and we are basically doing we are basically the matchmaking kind of work we are doing, bringing these people together, the MCG and this other organization together to work on this project. Another project, which is another successful project, is called Haryana Vision Zero project I mentioned earlier, where we are addressing these two major SDGs, which is 3 and 4, towards livable city, where we are the whole vision is to reduce road traffic fatalities. This is my last slide, where I just want to showcase the impact of Haryana Vision Zero in last 2.5 years.
you so much, Sarika. It was
Thank
an amazing presentation. I do have a few questions, but we'll keep that for the end after we've seen Nidhi's work as well. But thank you so much. Uh,
you.
now, before we move on to our next speaker, there's a short video that I would want to, share with everyone here. So it's what CCD has been doing in the past few years, just a short clip of that.
That enriched environment, cities and structures that are built to foster and are conducive to help can enhance resilience.
This is a revolution not against a regime, not against corporations. It's actually a revolution against ourselves.
People who are closer to the issues are closer to the solution. Who is in the room and who isn't? Who isn't in this space? Right? So that seems like an easy question to ask. Under that question is something harder. Why aren't they in this space?
What is it about our institutions, our day-to-day life, our way of life, that makes democracy such a fragile thing right now, to this day? That is something I think we need to interrogate, all of us really deeply.
We don't want to just create spaces that will directly improve people's well-being, but we want to create spaces that allows people to help themselves improve their well-being.
Okay, so moving on to our next speaker, Nidhi Batra. Nidhi is a development and impact professional trained as an architect and an urban designer. Her work runs across the dimensions of sustainable urban development, placemaking, urban and environmental awareness, skilling, and livelihoods. She is the founder of Sahriti Development Practices, a collaborative practice based on the ideology of co-creating cities. She is also currently a consultant with the World Bank. Personally, I know Nidhi since past 2 years, and we've been teaching together at Sushant. And it has been a pleasure to have our endless discussions on cities, urban design, and what we really need to do today to make our cities more livable. Nidhi, please take over and tell us what you do and why you do it. Thank you.
Thanks so much for having me, Manisha, and a great talk by Sarika. I think what she's touched about revolution and movements to happen using the civil society was very interesting. So I'm going to build up on that actually. And my presentation is really about your clue about being conscious or conscious cities. So what is this inner journey that we can do on being or raising our inner consciousness, and how it can even lead to this collective consciousness? So my presentation runs, I don't know, many of you might have read this book, that Horton Hears a Who. It's by Dr. Seuss. It's a very popular children book where this elephant actually finds a world in a small speck of a flower, and how he does everything to save them. So it resonates with something of which I'm going to speak about. And the presentation also is my own journey as a professional, from the time I was a student to what, now that Sahriti is in place, and how one has tried to hear this inner voice and try to even then organize the collective voice around it. And I think that's the key. Citizens then therefore become the key to what we know as conscious cities. So this is what I'm beginning with. The first, the chapter of the book where, this Horton, who's this elephant, is a hunky-dory guy, very hopeful about life, always happy. And that's when, you come out from college, you have all of these aspirations, right, about what you want to do. And like you were just saying that you were so excited to see Rahagiri because you're just, in the college. And that's an exciting thing to see that, okay, yeah, everything's going to be fine. And then you start working and then the things happen. So when I was, a student, and this is just when I was actually fresh in master's doing my internship, this was one of the projects which I was doing in Mumbai. It's with Urban Design Research Institute. And I was like a very, informed or probably a conscious student. I did want to work on aspects of equity in our cities. And this was really looking at structural adjustments and transportation corridors and how they are not really inclusive. And they result in a relocation of a lot of citizens, and a lot of citizens in places like Mankut, etc., where there's a lot of slum rehab which the city has created. So we were doing a critique of what happens on these large urban transportation projects or corridors when they come into the city. And this was one supported by the World Bank. It's quite an irony that I'm working with them now, but my entire thesis was against the structural adjustment policy of the World Bank and what does privatization does to our cities. And so I was, experimenting and finding out about these issues. The second thing as a student, which made a lot of impact for me, was this fellowship which I got in South Africa. And this was the first time, I think, that I worked with like 80, 90 people and across different sectors. So up till now, city making as taught to us in colleges is like, you get compartmentalized in some streams, either you urban design or you planning or you this. You don't even actually interact with historians, you don't interact with economists, you don't interact with sociologists. So we are already siloed when we are in universities, unfortunately. And this was one platform which I got where we've not just interacted with community, but we interacted with all sorts of professionals. And, from people in communication, from people who are working on rights of gender to everybody, and saw that it is really the collective which when comes together that can respond to the process of city making. So that was and this came up in this book that all of us were part of, which is The Century of the City. My scholarship was by Rockefeller only, and our findings were then presented in this book. And I think that was, for me personally, it was a very transforming experience to be able to do that. And then, one comes back and starts doing jobs in typical planning large-scale projects. Now, this is just one of them, which I'm saying. I did like typical large-scale planning for about 3-4 years. Some of them very interesting. Some of them like Delhi-Mumbai Industrial Corridor. And it's a very important, very significant corridor for India. Now, I was working on 2 nodes, Ratlam, Nagda, and Pithampur Dhau. And in one of the nodes, when I started going on the site, I saw, what you see on the left, the quality of water. That is the quality of water right now, or was that time in Pithampur Dhau. And we were proposing more industries in these areas without understanding what the impact of that would be. Also, there were, multiple crop agriculture which was happening. So were those lands suitable for this kind of development or further industries was a question. And that's when I started questioning that, where are the people in this process of planning that I'm actually doing? I'm just sitting here doing these designs, doing a lot of Photoshop, and one is assuming that that's what planning is. So that brings to the other Horton's inner quest, which came in. So it's a voice that comes into you, right? So there was something that was going in me, and I'm saying that, is there a who out there? Am I not listening to someone really? And pretty much like enjoying the work, but realizing that there is somebody else that I'm not hearing to. And that's where I say like, okay, I need to hear this, right? So how can I actually have my listening hat now and hear to people on what they want? And I took a conscious decision to join a civil society organization, and we started working in participatory planning approaches, JNN-URM reform appraisal, doing district planning, slum planning with the community members themselves. Now, this was a very deconstruction of how we taught in our colleges to actually be able to do something like this. And again, it was a very insightful and a learning experience for me. However, I did feel that we are still not able to integrate those voices in the formal planning system. So even though we are creating this alternate space where the community is being able to, let's say, articulate their voice, but are they still being able to integrate it back into the planning system or in the decision-making process? So that has become my quest, now over time. And that is where CCF2021 came in. And the idea, like I said, that we believe in co-creating cities. It's not just certain professionals, it's not just the government, it's not just the private sector, but and definitely a play of community has to be brought in, and how you can actually co-create something, and there create a space for doing that, create a platform for doing that. And in fact, CCF2021 also forms a similar kind of logo, which we took, so not just people, but also ecology, also sustainability, and also different professions and different stakeholders coming to create a city. And that's where our journey started. One of the most initial thing that we did, and I think that was very interesting because it was Share Mehfil that we did in antisocial in Hoskas. And I love the fact that we did it in antisocial. You assume most of these activities around cities or these talks would happen in places like India Habitat Center or IIC, where only a certain kind of people come and ideate and talk. And here it is where antisocial was willing to give us this space, and people of all sects came in, of all ages, of all professionals, of all background, who spoke about cities and their relationship with the cities. And some of them were technical, some of them were poetry, some of them were, there was a guy who compared a city to his girlfriend. I mean, to be able to create the space where people actually speak about cities, I think was, for us, a very significant aspect. And, so it started off with something like this, and these are just some snippets of that event which we hosted. Later, the second important exercise that we started working on, and Manisha, I'm just doing some Delhi and Gurugram context, hopefully you don't mind that, was this project in Mehrauli that we've been working in with another organization called Greha since 2016, where again, the idea was to develop a community-led planning system, especially urban renewal in a very historic urban village of Mehrauli. Now, why I'm putting this is that we have followed two dimensions, right? So we have looked at the formal planning systems and seen how we can actually put a plug in there and see we can work with the government. At the same time, we have also realized that we can do our own voluntary steps and activities in Mehrauli through which we can engage with the community. So initially, we started with a study which was sponsored by INTAC, which was about this community embedded urban conservation approach for Mehrauli historic area. A great report. The idea was that this would get integrated in the local area planning system. Unfortunately, Delhi does not have the LAPs happening anymore, so it got lost in that process. Later, we did a sense of history workshop with INTAC, which again was a great a starting point to really see that whether people of Mehrauli only have some sense of history or a heritage of their own. And then we started, of course, doing some more government licensing, working with the MLA, working with the district magistrate, and some other works which I'm not listing here. But what we did with the community is what I wanted to bring out here. So we did these are just some of them, series of workshops which were very, again, participatory workshops, completely inter-stakeholder, in a lot of different professions come in. So we would have people of planners, architects, yes, but sociologists, historians, ecologists, and the community members come together, students, people from Nehru Yuva Kendra, all come together for each workshop. So these were these weekend workshops, which we did on various themes. So we did one on placemaking, which I'll just show some pictures of. We did one on podcasting, capturing neighborhood stories of Mehrauli. We did one on the ecology of Mehrauli. Later, we did also on the sense of history of Mehrauli. We did workshops with children, with schools, so multiple aspects of Mehrauli we touched. And the idea was that it is a platform where there is community and professionals, and we can come up with some kind of outreach, some kind of messaging. And I'll just run through some of it. So this was the first one which we did was on placemaking. And we took the space of Shamsi Talab, where there are two parks. There's one park where the children play, and then there's another park on a higher elevation where usually men are playing cards. And women are very scared to send their kids here. Because there are no eyes on, like we say, eyes on the street, there are no eyes on the park here, and they don't want the men who are playing cards or drinking in the afternoon to really, affect these children. So we did like some amount of, quick placemaking exercises, interaction with the RWAs. We had a lot of participants who came in. And like what Sarika was saying, using the tool of tactical urbanism, showing that can we transform this area, just a 2-day thing, right? And it was quite interesting. We created these props of, like those telephones that we have. So, one cup here, one cup there. So you saw a lot of activities. It became like suddenly a play area. In the evening, it was so active. We had these large tubes. The tubes were thrown from a building down to the park, or from the men on one side to the children on the other side. So we were trying to break boundaries which this park had established in this process. Another one was on a podcast workshop where, in fact, we got this lovely space in Mehrolia, an old library, which the Yuva Kendra had, and we had participants from them. We taught how to record a podcast. The participants went and interacted with the community. Some of them had very interesting insights. For example, one of them, I'm not playing it today, but one of them actually had documented aspects of gender and how unsafe certain areas of Mehrauli are. And we gave it to the police station. Police station was also very willing. They gave us their spaces at least thrice to do these workshops. So the idea of these workshops was also to show the community that their own city is also responsive. So we were trying to engage the authorities in as many ways as possible. We did some workshops with the children and the schools on various aspects. This was on sense of forms of history, and this was on sense of place. And the work is still going on. We're trying to create a community museum and etc. and still working with the government, but it's a process, right? It's a process to how to integrate it. These things is what I was trying to show from this. And then, what happens is that you have to keep continuing, right? You need to keep continuing such projects. And what I'm showing, the project which Sarika just showed, which is about the Streets for People challenge, where Sariti had contributed on the neighborhood zone. And for us, that was very important because since some time we've been working with children, and we wanted to create the space which would be inclusive. So these are two schools across, and there is this like a busy road almost, and a parking space between a school which is on both the sides. It's the same school, it's a girls' school. So our idea was to create a small space of a pause. Can they pause just outside the school, hang out? When we exit our school, you want just a space to just chill. There are vendors there. They want to have ice cream. They want to have their food. These girls, they take the food and they go back into the school campus because they don't know if they can stand outside their own school. So that is where what we wanted to create, that, can we have this a little bit of space of pause outside the school? And like Sarika mentioned, it was a tactical urbanism strategy. So, it was about creating the space. So there was a theme was metamorphosis and how that can give hope. So there were a lot of butterflies and all of that. It was also about what they imagined the space to be. So we interacted with the students quite a bit in the beginning. So we had some amount of, these are just images of what we had planned to do. And I'll show you how it turned out. And the students participated themselves in painting the walls of their school. There was an interesting event which was done. They had a wall on, what do they dream to be? And, they were giving messages. And then we had a lot of activities, play areas, which was done. An interesting thing that we did, this is with the community library, we created a pop-up library. And why? And I'm just showing you, and this is a cigarette stand, which we converted into a library space. And these two shacks that we created ourselves, very low cost, creating an open space library in this space where there were earlier only vehicles standing and a lot of chaos happening. And I just want to give this one example of how something like this, a very small intervention, can actually make a change. So in this pop-up library, there was a book about Malala, standing. And I was interacting with these girls like 2-3 days before that, do you guys have library in your school? And they said, hey, to, but we don't go, it's always shut. And these girls came out and I said, okay, you guys have to come out and we'll put up the library and you have a look. So these girls came out, and this girl with hijab, she was probably only the one girl in hijab in that school. She saw this book of Malala on the cigarette stand and she's like, who is she? I mean, she's like, ye kaun hai? So because she could suddenly relate that, somebody like her has a face on a book, and she went into the cigarette stand, she got the book. I told her a brief, like a background about who Malala is. And she sat with the other girls and she's like, let me read out to you about who Malala is. Now, that is a spark that can come up in a public space. And I think that itself is a winning thing, right? I mean, you can create something like that. So now that we know that there are voices and we need to integrate them into the planning, another thing that Sariti has been working is how do you strengthen those voices, right? So education is a big part of what we do. And I'm just showing you some examples of our education and outreach activities. So during lockdown, it was the first lockdown, it was great because there was a whole webinar sessions happening, and we had a series of ourselves called Ird-Gird, which was really about forming a relationship with the environment around you. You were stuck, right? So people were birding, people were discovering things as if they had never seen them. Probably we hadn't. And that was a great opportunity for developing a relationship between people and the environment. And we had series around that, so not just birding, wilderness, solar cooking, waste, water, sewage, shit. What do you do with all of these things, which we just completely ignore and become oblivious to? And that's what these Ird-Gird series actually did. We work regularly with schools on various aspects, a lot with environment. So we ran a competition with 50 schools on ecosophy. We work on aspects of rainwater harvesting, heritage, neighborhood stories. So that's an active part of what we do, trying to interact with children and make them appreciate the urban and the natural environment. And I'm just ending with this, that this is something that I've been doing voluntarily and something that probably will happen. There are, and this is in Gurugram, villages of Aravali, right, in Haryana. And they're all, in fact, municipalities and villages have to develop or make a people's biodiversity register with the help of a biodiversity management committee. Now, like most things, these BMC's names have just been given. The people in the village are not aware of what a BMC is, what is the responsibility. These women that I'm interacting with, they were the only probably 2 SC/ST women, and their names were given as a BMC member. Now, our idea of engaging with them is to do some capacity building of the BMC themselves, and to see that, can this people biodiversity register. Now, all of you are aware of the context of Haryana or Gurugram. We have the PLPA, we have enough threat to our forest and our biodiversity. And the fact that they are not even capacitating the community to become, who are actually the holders of this traditional knowledge, to give that information out in the biodiversity register is very limiting. So our intention is to strengthen that voice of the community. And here is this Baba who told me everything, from each of this hill, he told me about each and every plant possibly and its medicinal value. And there are a lot of new discoveries that happen along the way. And we hope that they can be preserved, but they can be preserved only if the community is strengthened, right? If the community understands its value, and if the government can appreciate what the community is saying. So that's where we are as of now. It's a lot of negotiation, but I think it's a long process like that. So yes, that's it. I'm just going to leave it with this, coming back to Horton, that every voice counts and one just have to keep going at it. And that's about it. So thank you. Thanks, Manisha, for having me.
Thank you so much, Nidhi, for that presentation. It was actually very great to know everything that you've done. And well, I didn't know so much about you and Sariti. So yeah, I have a couple of questions which I would really want to know, get answers from, and I'm sure people here would also want to know. So yeah, so and please, if you guys also have some questions for each other, please go ahead. So I would like to start first, and this one is for Sarika. So Sarika, like so you gave us a presentation, I saw everything, but I want to understand that how does this work? Like when you have these so many projects that Rahagiri Foundation is working on, how does this get started? Like who does the proposal? You take a proposal to the to the government, or they reach out to you because now they know that there's an organization like Rahagiri. And why I'm asking this is because I know for sure that there are a lot of people out there who have the knowledge, who have the education, who are probably looking for opportunities to do some work exactly like what you are doing, what you two are doing. But how do you how do you reach that place where you can actually do something like that? So I want to know, how does Rahagiri Foundation does the work?
So initially for the few ones we approached, actually, let's demonstrate kind. So when the demonstrated happened, and we know that it's working now they approach us. Can you also help on designing this street also and that street also? This is what happens. You need to demonstrate the right thing to them. As I said that, no, we know it, what's going to work, what's not going to work, but not always the decision makers.
Yes.
Of course, in that also, you need to find the champions. Who are the champions inside there? Like, inside that decision making process, who are the champions who wants to work on these things? So finding out the champion is most important thing. Otherwise, you will keep on doing, nothing is going to happen on ground. So finding out the champion and little motivating the champion, and then demonstrate 1, 2, and of course they will come to you. Either they will come to you or to anyone like us. It's not just us always. And it's like, then they pick up the right people to design.
And was it a challenge in the beginning?
Yeah, it's almost 15 years of struggle. Finally used to do something. So of course it's a big challenge. Still it's a challenge to, make them understand that why it is so important for us, for the people, for the human. They don't understand this. Because I think there is this whole general practice of this comfort zone they have adopted. They don't see how other people are struggling on that city in the street. They are they are privileged to always travel by vehicle with cars and with multiple other, facilities they have. So it's a challenge. Still a challenge. That's why I said it's a small, very small thing that we have done so far. Long way to go.
And I want to know, like, how did it start? Like just 7 people coming together, giving some time to this body? Because I know, like, you are a director at Nagaro, so I'm sure there's a full-time job.
It's for me, it's like, of course, Nagaro is also always part of Rahagiri Day, because initially, when we started, 7 of us, as I said, Latika, me, Manas again, CEO of Nagaro, then Heritage School, Prabhat, Dhruv, these are the few people who we came together to start Rahagiri Day. Actually, when we shifted to Gurugram, it was like, okay, these 2 planners shifted to Gurugram and let's do something kind. And this group of people, we had a lot of workshop together, we had a lot of discussion together, and we thought, why not doing Rahagiri Day? Because the WRI has an office in Bogota also.
Okay.
And this whole open street program started in Bogota 40 years back, right? So which is called Ciclovia. And then multiple countries across the globe adopted. Somewhere it calls Ciclovia, somewhere it calls US. In many cities they call Summer Street. So then we thought, why not we also do it and give it a local name to it. Somebody came with the name, somebody came with the design, So everybody has their own role to play in this. And when we went to the administration here, he said, who cycle walk in this city? If you give them opportunity, they will take their cars to the they're inside their house too kind. It was like their approach. And then when we focus them the statistics of how many people walk in Gurgaon, cycle in Gurgaon, population, that the whole data. And then we show them the video of this cyclovia in Bogota, and they said, okay, let's do it. And that time again, I said there were champions who actually said yes to us. And I am really, really thankful to all the officers that time who actually, brainstormed with us to make it successful. And they were also totally engrossed with the whole working group, going to the visit again and again, from the commissioner of police to the district administration, everyone, like, multiple time visiting the site, which one to do, what to do. They themselves started a lot of campaign to get people, and then we had media partners and all that. And that one Sunday, and we said that give us one Sunday only. He said, you're blocking the road where the vehicles will go. He said, give us one Sunday. Let's see where the vehicles will go. Okay. And where the people are coming from. So that one Sunday, I remember one of my partner from Ragiri Foundation, we went to meet someone in Kannad place, and we took this metro to there, and we get down in the Rajiv Chowk metro station. And we said, our Ragiri should look like this, so many people. And then he said, if 2,000 people will come, we will mark it as a success, great success. And first Sunday, 10,000 people, because actually we didn't know that people will come or not. It was very first time for us, it was our first experience. We didn't know what is going to happen. And thankfully, with all the collaboration and, support from various citizens group, it gets successful. And after that first Sunday, we never stopped.
And when do you find the time to do this?
So for me, it's a 7 days work and not 8 hours work. And of course, there is team. And slowly we built team also in Ragiri Foundation. We got a lot of other partners also to do it. But of course, you have to give time to this, because from that few hours of Sunday Ragiri to what we are working is creating some street which is 24/7 Ragiri day. So of course it's a lot of work, and Nagaro is basically why I'm in Nagaro in the IT company is basically to work on all this kind of things, especially focusing on Gurgaon. That how we can really make changes in Gurgaon.
So then it's like, so we can understand that there are corporate organizations who are willing to, put in their effort and some money into such.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. Because, yeah.
That's amazing to know, because otherwise, the corporate world has a very different picture in everybody's mind.
I must say that, my organization, Nagaro, earlier I was in WRI for 9 years and then shifted to Nagaro. But I must say that, I'm really, really lucky to be part of such corporate, because I always had a fear of working in a corporate. Never, ever. I could have landed in some PwC of the world or something like that, which it always gave me that fear of working in such organization. But, Nagaro has that mindset of giving back to the society, doing good for the city that we are living in. That's why whatever we are little able to do, it's because of the support from my organization. And I must say that my colleagues, my seniors, who are really they don't talk but they walk the talk.
Okay, that's amazing to know. And so now we all know that it is possible that, if we reach out to officials, if we reach out to government organizations, things can happen, but somebody has to take that effort.
Persistence. It's a long, after 8 years of battle, finally be able to fix one intersection, and sometimes it's frustrating. We know that it's very frustrating, but after entering to that whole ecosystem, what kind of challenges they also have. There is a lot of challenges to make that paradigm shift, because there is a long wrong practice going on from decades, and shifting that is not easy. So whenever we talk to this junior staff, junior engineers who are working on ground, if you understand their challenges, it's too scary actually. But I think we are really hopeful that, things will change. If you look into all the developed countries, come on, London took 50 years to do something like this. Even New York took two decades to transform the, Manhattan, or talking about this whole sustainability, or moving from vehicle to people and all that. All these European cities or developing countries has faced the same challenges that we are facing right now. But I think it's the right time. We are on the very right track on right time.
And like Nidhi said, it is a process. It's a long process. Okay, Nidhi, for you, I have a question. So during your presentation, I heard that, you were doing a study with Intac and that Hamari Mehroli initiative. So I want to know, how did you get involved with that?
So Intac study was, we approached Intac and it was a one-time study. It did not go ahead. We had asked Intac for more funding. Yeah, so we approached, they liked the idea, you gave the proposal. So the study happened, then the sense of history workshop, the idea we gave, they liked it, we held the workshop. So some monies for the report and the workshops were given by Intac. But thereafter, there is a challenge in terms of actually implementing a project like that on ground. And Intac is not really an implementing organization for a large urban renewal exercise, right? So that's where Hamari Mehroli is only our internal initiative. So Sairiti, Greha, Indes, we came together to organize these workshops. And largely it was because we were all startups really in that sense. So each workshop was funded in the sense that it just broke even, right? So there were sometimes the community or the government authorities, like I said, were willing to give us the venue, and they were sweet enough to do that for free sometimes they were not, we paid. So if we wanted to host an event in the middle of a market, we took a shop which had an empty floor and we paid for that. The Nehru Yuva Kendra was willing to partner because we said we will train their youth also in communication strategies. So it's you have to do such kind of negotiations on ground to be able to do that. But we did not want it to wait till a time project gets approved, and because project has still not gotten approved, and this we started in 2016. So it's like I said, it takes long. So you start doing whatever you can in your own capacity and take it from there.
Okay. Yeah. So why I'm asking these questions is, really because a lot of times people want to do a lot of things, but how to start, where to start, and you're talking about funding, which is so important, because funding is very, very important for all such projects, because everything, even if you want people to come in and put in time and effort, that will require some funding. So yeah, those were the questions from my end. If there's any.
Thanks, Manisha.
Yeah.
It was great learning from you, Sarika.
From each other, actually. I always see that, so we are very small community, right? And, and so much to do. In every city, I think we need 50 times of what we are. And that's we need to build more and more such organizations who can, in small scale, keep on working, in and around their neighborhood also. And I can see this younger architects, urban designers are coming on roll now, and I think that will be great if this next generation is taking it up to the next level.
True.
All right. I think that was a great conversation and a great event. I would have been really glad if Swanzal could have joined us, but unfortunately she is not well. So I think we can close our event.
Thanks so much.
Thank you so much, Manisha.
Thank you so much to everyone.
Bye. Hopefully we'll meet soon. Bye bye.
Yes. Goodbye and have a good
bye. Bye. I can see Katie here.
Oh. Yes.
Okay.
I messaged you. Thank you so much for joining in.
Hi, Katie.
I am.
If he's listening or.
Hi, Sarika. I am listening. Hi.
Oh, so good to hear you.
Hi, Manisha.
If you can turn on your video, we can see you also. We can see you also if you can turn on your video.
I don't
Thank
think
you
you can
so
see
much
much.
for joining in.
Hi.
Hi, so good
How
to
are
see you,
you?
Katie.
Good to see
and,
you. Good to see you.
why not
And-
you are? Why not you are? You, if you can share some of your points. Good to have you here. You know.
No, actually, I joined very late, Sarika, because initially I think I was barking up the wrong alley. And I was registering with Google and all the complicated things.
Okay.
Finally, when Manisha sent me the link, I could join.
Oh, okay.
So it is already late. Yeah, but I've been tracking your work anyway, all these years.
It's a
So
pleasure.
my first work was with Katie actually, and you know, I had learned so much from him during our exercise, doing this master planning and all that. So you know, I'm always thankful whatever he has taught me. Of course, I was part of SP also, but after education, you learn more. Actually, after your academic, you learn more from the professor.
But I remember.
Sorry to say that.
Sorry.
Because that time you are focusing on so many students.
Anyway, it was Sarika's green thumb, because I've worked on so many cities before, but that's the only one which even got partially built.
Yes.
That's the Rajiv Gandhi Education City.
Education City, yes.
She is the sole person who planted all the seeds in that place. They're now
together.
growing now.
Growing, yeah. Hopefully it will become what we have planned.
No, the road has just become a wide road. It has not differentiated like we had proposed.
Yeah.
But hopefully someday those things can still happen because the space is there.
Yes. Internally, they have done something around Ashoka and all. Sorry, we are, I think, boring them. We can have an offline chat.
All right, we'll have an offline chat. Nidhi, I just sent a message for you saying that we are still around intact.
Yes.
Now, I'm now the convener for Delhi chapter. So
wow.
I'll be most happy to do something with you in Mehrauli.
I'll come back on that, sir. Yeah. Definitely. Yes. We have a proposal ready.
Yes. Come forward. We'll see how we can work together on it.
Yeah. Thanks so much, sir.
Thank you.
Okay, Manisha, one of the outcome of this.
I know. Yes, that is so good. That is actually the purpose of this entire dialogue.
Exactly.
It's so good to see you, sir. After
right away, there is an outcome now.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Outcome for me as well. I'm looking for an opportunity to work with things which are on ground. Yeah. And Intac is now beginning to again kickstart things in Mehrauli.
Okay.
Yeah. And we'll be soon organizing some things in Mehrauli. I'll invite you, Nidhi, to begin with.
Yes, sir.
And then, we restored a place called the Jharna.
Yeah.
It's a very beautiful space, but in a bad state of neglect after the restoration also.
Yeah.
So we're planning to do some action with the local children there.
Oh, lovely.
Some storytelling sessions and so on.
Okay.
Yeah, to make history fun in some way for them. Yeah.
We also love to come as a visitor.
Sure. Most welcome, Sarika.
What's the Manisha?
Yes,
of course. Manisha too, yes.
We love that, sir. We interacted with 2-3 schools there and held some workshops, especially with the St. John school, which is right next to the Jharna, pretty close. So we'd love to do that.
Let's meet up. Do you go to the Lodi Estate office?
I'll come, sir. I'm mobile. Not a problem. I can come up. I'll call you. Okay.
Sure.
Thanks so much.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay. Bye-bye, everyone. Have a nice weekend.
Bye, Sarika.
Very happy Diwali. Bye-bye.
Nice seeing you. Happy Diwali to you.
Take care.
Manisha, you did a fantastic job.
Thank you so much, sir.
Congratulations.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.